Hi, in this lesson we'll talk about Notebooks widgets. So Notebooks widget are a very powerful feature of Databricks notebooks, which allows you to parameterize your notebook. For example, if you created a notebook and you want to do similar operation with the same notebook, however, you wanted to change something in the code, maybe a name or a location or a database or something like that. But in order to do that, you'll have to create a new notebook and copy the code and repeat the whole thing, but only change the name. Databricks allows you to use something called widgets. Let's see how this works. So let's create a new notebook. Go to home and I'm gonna create notebook, call it widgets test. It's an S widgets. Okay, I'm gonna leave it as a Python. I'm gonna create. So I got the notebook created. The command to use is called dbutils, and this command is actually very useful. It has a lot of Databricks utilities that you would use along the way. One of them is widget. So dbutils and then dot. Now, in order to trigger autocomplete in Databricks, you need to press tab. So I'm gonna press tab and see autocomplete is triggered. So now you see what's going on. You can see all the commands here that you would use from dbutil. So I'm gonna create widgets, but widgets dot. Let's create a widget. There are several ways you can create a combo box, a multi-select, a text. Let's create a simple one, a text. We call it, let's call it test, or maybe username, and then you put the default value. Let's call it user1. So let's run this. You have a text here appear. You see in the top, something appeared here at the top. You have a text called username, and here. You can also use it from widget.get. So let's say print widget dbutil dot widget dot get. Let's see the value to get username. So you got user1. And if you change this, run, you can actually configure the settings here. So if the widget changes, run the notebook. So we're gonna run the whole thing. You can configure a lot of things here, right? So I'm gonna do nothing. So keep it okay. Now let's create a widget with. Let's see how we can use this value from the SQL as well. The way you can use this, so select. Let's first make this SQL, or actually let's make it something interesting. Let's create a widget. So dbutils dot widget dot create widget dot drop. Let's create a drop down. We call it database. Like let's create a widget that has a list of databases in the current Spark catalog. We'll default to the default database. So how we do that? Create an array, and this array is, we're gonna load it with the first element of the array, db0 for db in spark dot catalog dot list databases. So let's run this. All right, so we have a database here. It's a drop down. So we have two databases now, one called default, one called Titanic. Now let's know how to use this in SQL. So let's describe. Well, let's use SQL. Describe database. Let's pick the database that we use. So this is how I reference the widget in the SQL. I use $, curly brackets, two curly brackets. I put the variable name, so it's called database. So I'm called database. So it will get the database selected from here because in this case will be the default, and describe this database. Let's run the command. So this is the default. Let's change this to Titanic. Now I haven't changed the code. Now it gets Titanic. This is really powerful feature because you can create a code that you can parameterize the whole code. Sometimes in the data engineering pipelines, you create a pipeline that moves data from bronze, silver, and gold, for example, right? The pipeline is exactly the same. You apply the same rules. You remove the same null values. Let's say, for example, if you create a SQL statement, delete, like SQL delete asterisk from, you can actually create a new like widget here with all the tables inside database, right? And then you create delete from database dot table, right? And then this is like a general rule where row like ID equal null or is null. Like this is a general data quality rule. You wanted to delete, you have your tables, all the tables have an ID column, and you wanted to delete from all tables everything that has a null ID. You don't really need to do this one by one. You just put the table parameterized and you can run the notebook without changing anything in the code. And this is really a powerful feature from Databricks. Databricks widgets, so dbutils supports several, several ones. So we have a combo box, we have a drop-down list, we have a text, we have a multi-select for multiple choices, and then you can remove, if you wanted to remove a widget, so Databricks widget would remove, let's remove the username. So now it's gone. Well, there is remove all as well. So this is really a powerful feature. Make sure you use it whenever you need it, because it really makes your life easier when you start, building pipelines, data engineering pipelines, parameterized notebooks. It's one of the most powerful feature of Databricks notebooks. So that's it for this lesson, and see you in the next lesson.